Hello, Digital Marketing 3 students. I hope you are enjoying your Freedom Day. And education is one of the aspects that could unlock your freedom in digital marketing, your freedom to be able to earn a living, your freedom to be able to have knowledge that will enable you to be a good accessory in coming up with strategies that could help brands positions themselves better when they present themselves online or on digital platforms. So welcome to lesson 43. And you realize that we have covered lesson 49 to 54. And then I realized that there are some lessons that we're supposed to cover this week. And these lessons were tabled for the submission break. So I'd like to take you guys through to lesson 43, where we'll be talking about setting up the strategy. So how do you come up with a strategy, and how do you actually um, put that strategy into action? So you realize that on lesson 49, which we've already done, we spoke about formulating a strategy. So lesson 49 was all about having many options within your strategy. But now I would like to take you guys a bit back on what needs to be done. How do you do a situation analysis in order to come up with a good idea, or in order to come up with a strategy? So the lesson outcomes for this session is that at the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the 6 principles that could help to sustain a distinctive strategic position. So I'm going to introduce you guys to a concept of source stack. Remember, there are so many acronyms, there are so many concepts that you are going to come across, and you've already come across when it comes to this module of digital marketing. We spoke about the 5 Ds, we spoke about the 5 S, we spoke about the 6 Is, we spoke about the 7 S framework. We are going to talk about SMART objectives, where S stands for something, M stands for something, A stands for something, R stands for something, and T stands for something. And today we are going to be discussing source stack, where S stands for something, O stands for something, S stands for something, T stands for something, A stands for something, and C stands for something. So these are the concepts that you need to be well aware of, and you need to memorize them and apply them appropriately. And they all have to do with strategy. By now, you should be able to know that strategy is a whole field, and it encompasses a lot of things. Since day one, when we started talking about digital marketing, all the things that we've addressed in this module contribute to strategy development. So you must understand the source stack planning framework for digital marketing strategy development. So source stack is a sort of a foundation for strategy creation. So if you are to plan, if you are to come up with a strategy, you need to apply the principles of source stack. You must be able to explain how to conduct a situation analysis. There's no way you can come up with a strategy without being able to read the environment that you operate in, because situation analysis is all about reading the environment that you operate in, knowing the context in which you operate in. So that's situation analysis. So there's an activity on page 146 of your textbook. You need to go to that activity and look at the benefits of digital marketing planning. There's strategy itself involves a lot of planning, guys. You need to plan how you're going to achieve your objective. So have a look at activity 4.1, and you must be able to familiarize yourself with benefits of digital marketing planning. You can also come up with your own benefits. You can also look at other sources other than this textbook sit down, have some moment, be able to think outside the box and know other benefits of digital marketing planning that have not been mentioned in this textbook. So how to structure a digital marketing strategy? According to Porter, the internet has heightened the importance of strategy, but he encouraged businesses to be cautious and suggested where businesses should focus when developing their strategy. So I know people always think that since we are now living in the digital age, everything is just digital. There's no need to plan. You know, if TikTok is that technology of the day, then we can just use TikTok. If Facebook is the technology of the day, we can just use Facebook. But there's a lot of planning, as I've told you several times in class, that when I asked you about the careers that you're going to pursue in digital marketing, and most of you say that you would prefer being a social media manager. And I told you that being a social media manager is not all about having many followers, creating content, tracking the comments. There's more to that. There's more research to that. There's more research that is needed to be done. There's more planning. How am I going to make this thing viral? Why is this thing coming up with states like this in the morning, not in the evening? Why is this thing generating more leads from tablet instead of from desktop or from mobile phones? So there are so many things that you need to consider definitely when you are coming up with a plan for digital marketing strategy. So these are the 6 principles that could help sustain a distinctive strategy. Remember, a strategy can be a strategy, but you want to come up with a strategy that is very unique and the strategy that has got a competitive advantage on its own. So you need to start with the right goal. You need to start with the right goal. You need to define a value proposition. You need to do things differently. Be prepared to make trade-offs. Create a fit between what the company does and establish continuity. So, yes, having a right direction matters because it is at the beginning of that step where strategies could get lost. So the moment you know the direction of your strategy, the direction of your objectives, the direction of your goals, you won't be lost. If you know where you're going to, which is why you must start with the right goal, you can always have some tricks here and there. You can always have a shortcut, but what matters is being able to pick up the right path, having the right goal, having clear definitions of what you want to achieve or what needs to be achieved. Once you've done that, then you come up with a good value proposition. You come up with a good value proposition. I've mentioned value propositions in class several times. What is a value proposition? So I've asked this thing several times in class, and I hope that students should be able to remember what a value proposition is. So a value proposition in marketing is a conscious statement of the benefits that a brand is delivering to customers who buy its product or services. So it's something that needs to be differentiated from competitors. And you also need to do things differently. You don't do things differently for the sake of it. You do things smartly. The way unique those things will be, how smart you do them. We'll highlight some levels of innovation. We'll highlight some levels of creativity. We'll also highlight some levels of something that stands out in terms of competition. And then you must be able to be ready for trade-offs. You need to be able to know the bargaining or the communication, and you must always be able for some tweaks here and there. So it has to be a balanced achieved between two deliverables, incompatible features. So your goal must be flexible. Create a fit between what the brand does. So remember, we have got digital marketing objectives. But when you come up with those digital marketing objectives, already the company has got its own objectives. It has got its own strategy of existence. So there has to be a balance between the company's main objectives of existence and the company's digital marketing objectives. Then, after you have established those 5 principles, you need to keep those principles in a cycle. You need to establish continuity. So this is not a once-off event. It is something that must happen over and over again, something that is flexible, and something that can also adapt to the environment. Now, let's go to the main feature of today's lesson, the SOSTAC planning framework. So as I've just said, everything in marketing is not once off. Continuity is very essential in marketing. And it is not rigid continuity. It has to be agile continuity. It has to be flexible continuity. So when you're coming up with a strategy, the first thing that you need to do when you are planning, do the situation analysis. Read the environment that you operate in, be it a brand. Consider all the micro analysis that you spoke about, the customer, the suppliers, the intermediaries, the competitors. Then do a macro analysis. Think about the political forces, the economic nature of the environment, the legal framework, the political framework, the social order. You do all the situation analysis there. You ask yourself, where are we now? So you look at goal performances, you look at customer insight, which is part of customer analysis. We do a SWOT analysis where you look at the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities or threats. You look at how the brand is perceived in the market, and you look at internal capabilities and resources. We spoke that under the Canvas business model. So situation analysis, as you can see on this image, talks about where are we now. Once you have done the situation, you have assessed, you have read the environment where you operate in, we have looked at things that have worked and things that have not worked. Now you need to ask yourself, where do we want to be as a brand? But remember, as I always tell you guys, this can also be applied to individuals. It doesn't have to be marketing related only. Even though this concept is in marketing, you can also apply it at an individual level, where you can come up with good SOSTAC planning for your life. You ask yourself, be it relationship-wise, where am I now? What is it that have worked? You know, what kind of people I've been connecting with? What have I benefited from those people? Things like that. Just ask yourself things like that. Then once you've done the situation analysis, you then ask yourself, where do I want to be? So you do the 5S objectives. Remember, we spoke about selling, serving, sizzling, speaking, and serving. So you ask if there's something that you offer in terms of selling. What is it that I need to sell? What is it that I need to put on offer out there? What is it, if you're talking about relationships, for example, what you ask yourself is that, what is it that I need to bring on the table? So the same thing with digital marketing as a brand. You need to ask yourself, as a company, what is it that we need to bring on the customer's table? So this will then lead to customer acquisition or retention targets. If you are selling something that is good, customers can always come back to get it. If you have got a good customer journey in that selling practice, then we can always have a notable customer acquisition, customer certification, retention as well as loyalty. Then you need to serve whatever that you are providing as a brand. Is it making the customers happy? So serving has everything to do with happiness, which can always lead to customer satisfaction. Then sizzling, you need to make sure that you maintain your online presence and that there's a good interaction between your online presence and the time that customers or readers or audience are spending on your digital assets, such as your website, your social media pages, or your mobile application. So, how stickiness is your site? Can consumers be able to interact with your sites? The language that you use, all those minor things, the way queries are escalated, and so on. And you also need to look at the bounce rate. I don't know if I told you guys about the bounce rate. So the bounce rate is actually the number of time that readers spend on your article. So if an article is a 5 minutes read, are they actually spending 5 minutes on that article, or they're only looking at the heading, or at the title, then they turn away? So you also need to have some thoughts on the visit duration and make sure that you have content or you have got products that are not boring. Then speak. You know, we've always lived in a world when there's one to many type of communication. And this has been spearheaded by traditional communications and traditional mediums such as the TV. So a single advert will be communicating to many people. But now with the digital marketing platform forum, there's always a form of a trialogue whereby multiple customers will be interacting themselves, interacting with the brand, and so on. Think about the ratings, the reviews, whereby customers, they are using your website and they are putting on the reviews to communicate with other customers. Then they can come up with different experience on that review. Someone will give a 4 ratings review, someone will give a 3 ratings review, and they are sharing the insights about the specific product. So you need to speak up, be able not just sending out your voice, but also be able to listen to the voices in that digital community. Then, of course, you need to save. Digital marketing saves a lot of time compared to traditional marketing, and it also saves a lot of money. So it's not only saving money, but it can also save time and it can be efficient. It can also be convenient. So where do you want to be will be linked with your objectives. So do your objectives link up with the 5S? Am I selling? Is the plan going to save? Is it sizzling, speaking, and saving? Then, once you know where you are now through situation analysis, and you know where you want to be through the objectives that you have come up with, remember, guys, in your F2, you are going to be talking about the objectives that you've been asked to come up with. Now you have the objectives, you need to ask yourself, how do we go there? How am I going to achieve those objectives? That's where strategy fits in. Strategy talks about how the goals are going to be achieved. So if you are someone who wants to get married, or if you are someone who's looking for a job, the strategy must fulfill that action of wanting to get a job. So you do your segmentation, you do your targeting, you do your positioning, you do your value, your online value proposition, you do your credibility before visibility, integration, tools, and so on. So we have spoke about segmentation through the buyer persona. Who is your ideal customer? Who is it that you want to involve with? Then how do you position the brand? How are you going to segment your brand? And how are you going to be different from your competitors? You do that formula that I taught you guys about competitive advantage, and it should be part of your strategy. Then once you know how you get there, you still you still need to know how exactly are we going to get there. So the strategy will tell you that this is how we're going to get there. We have got our segments. This is who we are going to target. But it's not yet over yet. You need to come up with tactics. Tactics are many components of the strategy. So you need to come up with the details of the strategy. The e-marketing mix, such as the communication mix or the social networking. How are you going to use 3 different types of media? Remember, I spoke about earned media, owned media, paid media. How are you going to use our marketing communication tools such as search engine optimization, social media marketing, paid advertising, and so on? So these will be part of your tactics, the campaigns, the digital public relations that you are going to have, and so on. Once you know exactly how you're going to get there, you then need to ask yourself about the details of the tactics. Who does what and when are those going to be done? So you have the situation analysis, you know where you are, you know your current situation, you know where you want to be, you know how you're going to get there through the strategy. You have the tactics. Now you need to put everything on paper, everything on the ground. You have got everything on the paper so far. Now we need action. We need action. We want something on the ground. So you need to have some delegation of responsibilities and structures. You need to deploy or allocate some resources and skills. If we're going to do X, Y, Z, what are the costs for it? What resources are needed there? What are the tools that can be used to measure the performance indicators and so on? So this is where you'd even look for external agencies if there are some skills that we cannot provide internally, then we have to outsource them. Then once you've got action, you need control. How do you monitor performance? You know your situation, you know where you are now, you know where you need to be, you've got the objectives, and you now know how you want to get there, you've got the strategy, and you ask yourself, how exactly am I going to get there? You use the tactics, you've got the action, how are we going to do this into reality? What are responsibilities we're going to assign in the structures? Now you need to control, you need to monitor the action that you have implemented. So you use the key performance indicators, you use metrics such as customer certification surveys, you look at site visitor profiling, frequency of reporting, and so on. And it becomes a cycle, it doesn't end there. If you do not actually achieve your strategy, you then do strategy formulation that we spoke about in lesson 49. But this is how you use SOSTAC to plan a strategy. So SOSTAC, S stands for situation analysis, O stands for objectives, S stands for strategy, T stands for tactics, A stands for action, and C stands for control. This is not linear. This is a cycle. It needs to happen over and over again. So just to explain the diagram that I showed you previously, which I believe it is in the textbook, the elements of SOSTAC planning with respect to the digital marketing strategy, they include situation analysis, objectives, where situation analysis means where are we now, objectives, where do you want to be, strategy, how do we get there, tactics defines the usage of tactical digital communication tools, action refers to plan, change management, and project management skills. Then control looks at the use of management information. So this is the information that you'll be getting when monitoring your strategy and the tactics that you have identified. So I've told you guys about the situation analysis several times. We've done situation analysis by looking at the micro and micro environment. So situation analysis in classic marketing planning is an audit of current effectiveness of a firm's activities The analysis involves a review of internal and external factors that have implications for strategy development. So when we're talking about situation analysis, we are doing an assessment of internal capabilities, resources, and processes of the company and a review of its activity in the marketplace. We are doing an investigation of the wider environment where we do the pestle analysis in which a company operates, including economic development, government regulations, legal issues, taxation, social and ethical issues, e.g. data protection, consumer privacy, and intellectual property that we spoke about in previous lessons. So there's an activity that you need to do on page 149, talks about situation analysis for an e-commerce operation. Are there any questions or any comments? Please let me know. This is why we have got WhatsApp groups. This is why we have got core campus discussion forum. So if there are any questions, if there are any queries, if there are any issues that would like to be addressed, let me know. It's always good to address these issues in forums where there are other students so that they can also benefit from those. So I don't necessarily like individual queries whereby someone will DM me or send me a direct email. I'd prefer that you address that in a public forum where there are other students and we can discuss those collectively so that everyone can benefit. So I hope you enjoyed this session of lesson 43, where we have unpacked the amazing concepts of framework planning called the SOSTAC framework. Enjoy your Freedom Day. Let's meet again in lesson 44. So I'm going to take you to lesson 44 in the next session.